Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we're out taking a look at the 2021 Hyundai Elantra. We've actually already driven this car out in California, did some beautiful mountain canyon roads, getting the first drive experience, and we were decently impressed with the car out there, but having it back here in a more daily driving type setting has really allowed its merits to flourish. We're going to go out for a drive and talk about everything the Elantra has going on. If you want to see more on the car, we've got a review of the Bose audio system and a highway fuel economy test that we ran on this limited model. Right off the bat, the looks are good. A little aggressive for my taste, but Elantras always seem to go back and forth between overstyled, subdued, overstyled, subdued. They're kind of always overcorrecting themselves. But this one's a little aggressive, and overall it looks nice. And when we drove the car out in California, we had the opportunity to demo the digital key. That's the feature that you're seeing on more and more cars that allow you to use your phone as the key to the car. But this time we just have the standard key. That I do appreciate that even though you can use your phone, they still offer a way to remote start the car from the key fob. Nothing really to write home about from the trunk, although I do like this lettering. I think it looks nice. Pop it open, and it's a pretty standard fare compact sedan trunk. You do get a temporary compact spare underneath, so that's good. The back seat, underneath this beautiful Calypso red paint, it's only like a $350 option. Sitting in the back, you got a good amount of room for a compact sedan. Headroom's a tad tight. I'm 5'10", and my head does hit the top if I sit upright, but I can be relaxed enough. Got plenty of knee and foot room. Got a little center flip-down console with some hard cup holders. Not a whole bunch of storage. One seat back. No power points, no air vents, and a small door pocket. So keep that in mind if you're planning on putting kids back here regularly or something. They might get hot or cold. Some neat stuff going on in the interior, especially up in the front. One of my colleagues noted that this part is white, kind of whitish tan going around here. But then the other door panels are black. So at first he was like, did they put the wrong door on here? But we're pretty convinced that it's just part of this effect. It kind of goes around and wraps around the driver. So you getting in here, whole thing kind of cocoons me. Got this area that's more divided off toward the driver. The screens are canted toward me. Overall, I think they did a really nice job with the interior. Check out this line going here, unbroken for the air vents. Even when you adjust the vents, the lines stay unbroken. That's some attention to detail and quality that you see from premium brands, and you're getting it here in a $27,000 Hyundai. And this is the top tier. You could get this car for thousands of dollars less, starts around $20,000. So some of the stuff you get for that price is really remarkable. Now, the best thing that Hyundai did with the Elantra, the best thing they could have done for themselves, is get it out on the market and on sale before the new Civic hits the United States shores. Because this year, the biggest competition that the Elantra has is the new Sentra, which is also quite good. The problem is the Sentra came out about a year ago, and people have kind of forgotten about it already. It'll do okay. It's a good car, but Hyundai's been building a lot more of a reputation for the Elantra than Nissan has been with the Sentra recently, so I think a lot of eyes are on this, and a lot of people have been coming to know the Elantra as a solid, reliable car that you can put a lot of miles on and have no issues with. It sure helps that there was an Elantra that went over 1 million miles, a 2013 model, so between their long warranty, good values, and it's kind of a known quantity reliability at this point, Hyundai's doing a lot right for themselves. But the fact that they got this out before the new Civic, which will be very good, that helps them out a bunch as well. Getting right up and going here, coming over this broken pavement, the car rides pretty darn well. We got 17-inch wheels. I'm glad they didn't go any larger than that because it allows for a good amount of initial bump absorption. The suspension's competent enough. I mean, this is a $27,000 sedan. Not going to get any miracles, but no one's going to complain as a daily driver. Under the hood, we're dealing with a 2-liter naturally aspirated inline 4, making 147 horsepower, a little bit less pound-feet of torque. Made it up to an intelligent variable transmission. What that is just Hyundai's version of a CVT, continuously variable transmission, but it uses a chain rather than a belt, which allows for less of a slingshot effect, if you will, that you can get with some belt-driven CVTs. This one feels a little bit more immediate when you put your foot down. It's a bit of a delay, but you still get some of that pull effect, that initial kind of bite that people appreciate from normal transmissions. It's all fine and good enough for daily driving. You put the car in sport mode, it really doesn't do all too much else. In fact, I really don't think it's a great little car for sporty driving. The chassis is actually pretty well sorted, but when you get on the power, it revs way up, gets loud, motivates itself, and then as soon as you get off the gas, the revs plummet and they go right back down. We did a lot of sporty driving in this car out in California, and that's where it sort of fell on its face. They do make an N-line model, which is better for sporty daily driving. It's fun to toss around. You can get a manual transmission. But the real fun is going to come from the Elantra N, which is coming out in the next year or so. We got a chance to drive the prototype version of that car. I'll throw the link in the description for that as well. And that car is going to be properly good fun. No, performance driving is not where the Elantra shines. Where it does shine is its excellence in daily driving. This thing got 44 miles per gallon on our highway fuel economy test. It gets great fuel economy all around town. The way the transmission and the engine are tuned makes for plenty of adequate power getting up to speed for all sorts of daily driving activities. And the center infotainment screen is really great as well. One of the few complaints I have with the car in general is just how far away it is. I have to lean away from my seat just to come up and touch anything. But that's a pretty minor complaint for getting all the rest of the goodies that the screen has to offer. Got good mapping, got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, wireless device charging, a surprisingly good Bose audio system. If you want to see more on that, individual review in the description. Even moving over to the left, you've got attractive looking gauges that, again, when you go into sport mode, look all racy and cool, and then go back into normal or smart, the other two drive modes, and you just got a nice, elegant look. The other thing about the Elantra that's impressed me so much, and I think where it really is going to impress the average consumer as well, is they made everything you touch regularly feel premium. The turn signal stalk, the shifter, the start button, the volume knob, the door handles, everything you have to interact with regularly to use the car feels premium. Absolutely, there are cheap materials down in the door pockets or way up on the dash, but who cares about that stuff? You're barely going to see it, much less touch it. So I'm glad that they focused their efforts on the things you use regularly. That makes for a premium feeling product. And there's a good amount of attention to detail to the little things as well. Using this nice steering wheel that allows you to have your hands in many multiple positions and still be comfortable. Like I said earlier, the unbroken line in the vents there. The little individualized plastic covers on the speaker tweeters. All those things add up to be a cool product that people want to buy, and that's what a lot of manufacturers miss on these cheaper cars is just because something's inexpensive doesn't mean it should be any less desirable to buy for somebody in that market. That's how you get people into your brand. That's how you get people excited and you get lifelong buyers. Sometimes the car's got to work to get up to highway speeds. We've got the pedal to the metal right now, just getting up to nearly 70. I guess these people don't feel like going that fast. Another amazing thing that you get for $27,000 is one of the best lane keeping assists on the market. So we'll turn the cruise control on here, and we'll turn on the active lane keeping. And when we come up to where this turn forms into two lanes, I'm going to set it. And there we are. Look at that. The car's taking us right through the corner, balancing itself in between the two lanes, no ping-ponging. This is a $27,000 car. And you get one of the best active lane keeping features on the market. That's really darn cool. After about 15 or 20 seconds minimum, it tells you to keep your hands on the steering wheel, of course, give the wheel a little wiggle. But the cool thing that Hyundai's system does great is if you're just going nice and straight on a long section of highway or something and the wheel doesn't need much correction, you can go for minutes at a time without putting any turn under the steering wheel. Even Tesla's autopilot or Ford's new whatever they call their system or Nissan's ProPilot, you constantly have to be wiggling the steering wheel even if the car's going dead straight. Hyundai builds one of the best active lane keeping systems, and they barely even tout it. They're just like, yeah, no, it comes on the car. So the fact you can get it in this compact sedan, that's pretty darn sweet. The Elantra doesn't really get me super excited as more of an enthusiast sort of buyer. I like buying cars that are a little more quirky, a little weirder, a little more exciting to drive in a sporty setting. But I'm happy that Hyundai did such a good job and made such a recommendable car. I like driving and reviewing cars that I can tell people, absolutely, if you want to buy one of these, go for it. It's a great move. Anything I'd change? Not really. They could throw a USB Type-C port in the car. That'd be nice to see. Other than that, you're really getting just about everything you could ask for at this price point. You'd have to just start getting greedy if you asked for more. I mean, what are you going to put? Cooled seats in a $27,000 car? I suppose the car could have some more practical storage. Even up front, there's just a small center console, a glove box, a little bit of storage right here, although if you're wirelessly charging your phone, that's going to be cut down a little bit as well, and fairly small door pockets. So I guess if you're road tripping, you would run out of places to put things pretty quickly. But I don't think you're going to find much more in most compacts. No big surprise that Hyundai continues to kill it. Cool, well, thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more on the Elantra, check the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.